You're listening to the Afro Qi podcast, a show for my fellow Black female energy healers and the everyday woman who wants to heal her energy in a creative and holistic way. You'll hear from Black female healers who share their knowledge, gifts, and experiences and enlighten you on how to tap into your powerful Black energy to get the results you need to live an energetically free life. If you're ready to become unstuck, find freedom and peace energetically, stay tuned. I'm your host, Kiera Flipping. Hey Queens, if you are just joining us here on the Afro Qi podcast season 2, we are focusing this entire season on the chakras. If this is your first episode with us, I really encourage you to take a listen to the very first episode of this season. That way you can work your way all the way up the 7 major chakras in order. Today, we will be discussing the final chakra of this series, the 7th chakra, sahasrāra, the Crown Chakra. I am super honored to have our guest here today that will journey us through the final chakra and the final episode of this season. Our guest today offers angel readings, channeled readings that cover your past, present, and future, with an emphasis on moving forward and evolving. She also uses clairaudience and clairvoyance to convey the messages spirit and your angels have for you. And she uses oracle cards, y'all, as a guide and to facilitate the reading and aid in what she is seeing and hearing for you. Our guest today is none other than the spiritual mermaid herself, Miss Elizabeth. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I am doing good. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we were chatting a little bit before we start recording, and I was mentioning, I was really looking for someone that I felt was very knowledgeable and really authentic when it came to the crown chakra, because I feel like this is a very sensitive chakra. Well, they all are. But I wanted to make sure that we really guided our audience through this very important chakra. So I'm so excited that you were willing to come on and just share your expertise with our audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited too.
So let's just go ahead and flow in it, because I know the audience is excited. They've been listening all the way through, and here we are at the final episode, final chakra. So let's just get started with the basics of the crown chakra, its location, its color, the elements, the mantra, all of that good stuff.
Okay, so as many of y'all can guess, the crown chakra is located at the head. It's the top chakra. And this is actually the chakra that's going to give us enlightenment and connection to the divine. Okay. It's purple, and it's not really associated with any element. It's more so associated with the element of thought. And it's really the chakra that is the connection from us to source. So like how the root chakra really grounds us here in the present, in the earth, the crown chakra will ground us with spirit, with source, with the universe. So that's why it's at the top of the head, and like how I said, it's purple. So
love it. Love it. And that's why I always start off every episode with telling people to start, like, no matter where you're catching us in this season, if you haven't started at root, like start at the bottom and work your way up. Because a lot of people will just try to come to the crown. I'm like, no.
Oh yeah.
Let's work yourself up.
Oh yes. Yeah. No, that's crazy. I love that you said that. I never thought about like doing it more so as a ladder. But that makes so much more sense, because we are first in our bodies, and then going up into the crown chakra is like going up all the energies that we possibly have, and the last energy being the connected to source. So I love that. I love that you said that.
Absolutely. Yes, because I'm like, before we even get into crown work, like we need to make sure we're grounded and we're rooted. Like let's get grounded first.
Oh yes.
So just tell us a little bit about like the chakra, its principles, its associations. If you can give us just a little bit more info about the crown chakra.
Okay, so I see the chakra as our divine connection to source, as well as yourself and how spirit and source flows through you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is the definition of oneness and the definition of connectedness. And it's where we receive all our divine downloads, our insights, our intuition, and things like that through source and through the divine. We receive it through the crown chakra. So I really see the chakra as, like how I said, the root grounds us to earth, but the crown chakra not just grounds us with spirit, but it grounds us with everyone around us. A lot of spiritual teachings that I believe, and I know this is maybe a little bit of a controversial topic, but like I believe that everyone is a reflection of you. And with the crown chakra, you really get to feel that connectiveness of everyone really is a reflection of you, whether you want to believe that it's a negative or positive aspect. The crown chakra connects us all together as one organism. Okay, so this is where a lot of the spiritual downloads or spiritual readers or oracle readers, tarot readers, and things, this is where we receive our downloads because we have a connection to that feeling of oneness.
I love it. Could you elaborate a little
Yes.
bit more for our audience about what downloads are?
Yes. Okay. So, I mean, I could only speak from my perspective,
Mm-hmm.
but my personal belief is that downloads are these insights from spirit. When you really focus on meditation, when you really focus on getting quiet, you can begin to really feel your intuition and feel what spirit has to say for you. And of course, that's a two-way street. You have to work with spirit and be open to divine downloads. You have to be open to these things and into our divine guidance as well. But when you get quiet and really master the art of meditation, that's where you're going to be able to fully feel the presence of spirit. So
Okay.
those divine downloads are moments where you can clearly hear spirit and clearly feel or clearly see what spirit is trying to convey to you. And that's, how I do my readings. We get quiet, we meditate for a second, and this is usually when I'll begin to see for people and hear whatever spirit has to say. And it's in that stillness that you receive those downloads. It's also those moments where you feel like a full sense of knowing something.
Yeah.
A full sense of knowing and just a strong, intuitive, it just feels very grounding. Even though you're seeing or feeling something that maybe isn't right in front of you, it just feels completely right. And there's no questioning what you're receiving. So that's what I would say is a divine download. Hopefully I explained that
Yeah,
right.
I love that. No, that was beautiful. And what I'm hearing, the key thing that I heard was quiet.
Yes.
Which a lot of us struggle with sitting in quiet. But it seems like in those quiet moments, in those peaceful moments, that's when we're able to receive, right? If we're busy, if we're
Yes.
always tuning into something, checking in with something, like we can miss our downloads, we can miss messages, right? If we have to get still, we have to get quiet to receive. That was beautiful. That's what I pulled out of that.
Yes.
Love it. Thank you.
Yes.
So
And I
if,
also want to say
oh
too,
yeah, no,
sorry.
go ahead.
I also want to say too that like, speaking of stillness and quietness, like meditation is not just sitting and closing your eyes and watching the inside your eyelids. Okay.
Yeah.
Meditation literally can be something that, you do intentionally. So I mean, honestly, I receive a lot of my downloads when I'm doing something intentional, like cleaning or washing dishes, because I'm really just focusing on one thing and I'm just calm and not really thinking about anything else. So it's really when you do something intentionally. Someone can receive divine downloads when they're like making music or listening to music or something like that, because you're really just focusing on one thing. And like how you said, we're everywhere all the time, but when we focus really on one thing and become still, that's when we can receive these downloads. So I just wanted to put that in there.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. I love that. Could you talk to us a little bit about how can we know like when the crown chakra is imbalanced? Like how can we pick
Yes.
up on some cues to know like, uh-oh, let me get myself together. My crown chakra is a little off.
So the main things, there's a couple things. Obviously, there is like overactive and underactive. I want to talk about overactive more. That's what is calling me to do right now. So overactive, when you have an overactive crown chakra, and honestly, what causes a lot of this is if you're ingesting way too much material from multiple spiritual people. I'm just going to be honest. Like, I feel like a lot of things on Instagram, we're not filtering what we're ingesting constantly. And we're like looking at all these posts and we're like, oh, yes, yes, yes. Oh, the angel numbers, yes, yes, yes. But it's like, sometimes you just really need to sit with just you and spirit. You don't need a guru. You don't need anyone on Instagram, a tarot reader, whatever the case is, to have you connected with that. So when you're receiving all of that, or even as a reader, when you have too many readings and you don't cleanse after, you can have a lot of nightmares. Okay. That is a huge an indication of an overactive crown chakra, like having too many nightmares or spiritual attacks. Now, how do you know if you're getting spiritually attacked? When you are constantly feeling that anxiety, you're constantly feeling the need to like watch over your shoulder, things like that. So that's really going to be an overactive crown chakra. How you combat that is by cleansing, I personally love to work with some oils. I make oils sometimes when spirit calls me to, but a good oil would be like a rosemary oil, a lavender oil. I love rosemary for cleansing and protection, but working with something like that, literally just putting those herbs in a olive oil or a carrier oil, letting them marinate, and then putting them on your third eye or on the back of your neck before you go to sleep is going to help with those nightmares and really calm down the crown chakra. As far as the underactive crown chakra, which is more, I would say more common, an overactive or underactive crown chakra is going to be feelings like loss of faith, not feeling connected to source, feeling the need to reach out to multiple people to get answers about your life and get to insights about your life and yourself. You know, those are really going to be indications that you have an underactive crown chakra because you're not fully feeling connected to spirit and connected to the oneness around us. Something else that I wanted to touch on that I almost forgot was, this is my personal belief.
Yes.
But I feel like an overactive crown chakra may also look like hive mind and not thinking for yourself. So when we have these moments of oneness and feeling like we're one organism and everyone is a reflection of us, that's beautiful. But I feel like sometimes we get so caught up in the connectedness and we feel everyone else's energy, especially as spiritual people in past and things like that, that we lose touch of what is really our opinions and what we really think of everything.
Yes.
So I really feel, and I've never seen that before, but that's truly something that I personally think is that hive mind mentality. And even, we get on the internet and we see people saying that this is wrong or that is wrong, or like we get into this like very like bullying mentality where we are shunning someone or whatever the case is. And those, sometimes it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's a survival skill to be able to think for yourself. And remember that the crown chakra connects us not just to everyone else and everyone else's feelings, it also connects us to source. So we have to remember, we have to balance those things. And when we're too connected or when we're in past with no boundaries, that also can look like an overactive crown chakra. We really just ingest everyone's emotions for our own, and we don't know what's our home frequency versus other people's energy that they're throwing at us.
That was just a word. Yes.
Yeah.
For my fellow
I've been
empaths.
thinking about that.
No, seriously. And I'm glad you brought that up, because when I was kind of, starting my journey, I'm an empath. And that was something that I personally struggled with, like not knowing what feelings were mine versus others, because I'm a sponge. Like I soak up other people's stuff. So it's like, hold on, am I anxious? Am I sad? Like, I'm not sad. Why do I feel like this? Nothing's going bad in my life. Why am I, so it took me really cleansing. And like you said, like really having those moments with yourself to say like, no, this is my opinion. These are my feelings. That is not mine. How do I separate? How do I disconnect from that? So I am so glad that you brought that up, because when I talk to other empaths, that is a big struggle. It is a big, absolutely.
Just like
I'm
how
so
Miriam,
glad you brought that up.
Hey Queens, isn't this such a great episode? Be sure to check out the Afro Qi Healers Directory, where you can find healers in your area offering similar services to the guests on today's podcast. If you are a healer, please be sure to join the directory so that Black women can locate your healing services and offerings. To join and view the directory, please visit afroqi.com. Okay, let's jump back into this episode.
Well, just like how, I don't know if you know Miriam Hasnea, I love her. She's an amazing spiritual teacher. She talks all the time about being a retired empath and not ingesting other people's emotions. And, we have to really be conscious, and we have to have that stillness so that we're able to tune into our own home frequency and not ingesting everyone else's stuff.
Absolutely.
So it's so important. So important.
It is. Can you tell us a little bit about like how, okay, so when our crown chakra is not in balance, like how does that affect us physically, mentally, spiritually? Like how does that affect us like in our world?
So physically, historically, when we research the crown chakra, we know that physically, if you have an imbalance with that could lead to headaches, migraines, and things like that. Now, of course, get a medical opinion, don't just assume these things. But, migraines, and like how I said, I really think the major thing that we see like a physically or like more tangibly than anything is going to be those nightmares. It's going to be that anxiety and things like that. That's a big sign that you need to cleanse or really balance your crown chakra. So as far as spiritually, it's really when we start to question everything in our lives. We question why we went through things. We get to this why me kind of thing. We really, we get to this victim mentality, and we don't see the connectedness of literally every single thing that has happened to us. And I know a lot of spiritual people, at least for me, we had to go through a dark night of the soul to get to where we are, so if not those really hard situations, those really sad, dark moments, spirit would not have found us. So, having an unbalanced crown chakra will keep you in that dark night of the soul and not let you see the way out. And you just don't feel connected, and you don't see the divine timing in everything. And I know that's a hard concept for a lot of people to grasp, but it really all has to do with perspective, and all has to do with wanting to connect with spirit and wanting to be more in tune with the universe. So that's really what an unbalanced crown chakra would look like, is really that why me, and really like not seeing the divinity and not seeing the divine order of everything that's happened.
Okay. And then what would be the reverse of that? Like, when can we look at ourselves and say, okay, I'm good. My crown chakra is healthy. I'm feeling good. Like, how can we know that we're in a good space?
Gosh. How we know we're in a good space is just like seeing God in everything. Seeing God and literally, I don't want to start getting emotional because I love spirit, okay? But like, it's just like when you look around you and you see all the blessings that you have, and you see all the amazingness and beautiful whatever in every single person, every single being, looking outside, looking at the trees and seeing how beautiful everything is, and just really seeing the connectedness of it all, feeling the energy from these things, feeling the energy from the elements, the earth, water, trees, and things like that, and really seeing spirit in everything, and really feeling connected and guided and protected, and having a full faith and full knowing that spirit is always with you. And I would also say having compassion, even though that's more of a heart chakra work, but I would say like with that connectedness, having compassion for everybody around you, and meeting people where they're at. Okay, that's something that we really struggle. I feel like personally in the spiritual community, we get to this point where I feel like I'm more spiritual than you, or I'm more elevated than you. There is no such thing. Okay, I fully believe that we are not allowed to judge. I 100%, I'm just like, spirit is the only one who could judge. Okay, so when we get into that really judgy mentality and things like that, we don't see the divinity in literally everybody. So when the crown chakra is balanced, you see how everybody could be a teacher. You see how spirit works through everybody, and you see the connectedness of it all. So
I love
That's what I would
that.
have to say.
Yes. And again, like you
Mhm.
are really bringing up some really, really good points, especially in this age of social media.
Mhm.
I'll
Mhm.
just leave that there. Just in this time of social media, things can get really tricky. And I think we've
It
all
really
probably
can.
seen that, just judging. And I always just say, everybody is on their own journey. It's not for me to judge. It's not for me to say what's right and what's wrong. What feels good to you?
Right.
What feels good
Right.
to you? What feels right for
And
you?
as long as you're not hurting anybody
Mhm.
in the path that you're going on,
Yeah.
spirit works through us through a whole bunch of different ways. And like how you said,
Mhm.
in the social media world, spirituality is getting more popular, which is beautiful. But this feeling of hierarchy is really what's going to bring us down.
Yeah.
And that honestly is imbalanced crown chakra, when you feel like you're better than other people. And it's so crazy to me, like when I see people act like that, because it's just like every client that I have, I'm like, I thank you for coming here. Like, I see myself in you. And it's just like, I get so humbled. I get so just overwhelmed with gratitude every single client,
Mhm.
And I think that shows like a more feeling of connectedness, and knowing that like when I read people, I read myself, even though I'm channeling and things like that, I see myself in literally everybody. And when people like praise me or whatever, I'm just like, I'm a reflection of you. Like, this is not, you're seeing yourself right now,
Yeah.
So I think when we lose touch of that, things get a little tricky, so
And one of you mentioned it again, that gratitude piece. How can you know that your crown chakra is healthy, that it's balanced? When you see God in everything, when you give thanks for everything, when you see the beauty in everything, when you love everything, like that is
Yes.
source. Like that is how I
Yes.
define it. Like that is like that is crown chakra.
Oneness, connectedness, and gratitude.
Yes,
Yes, yes, yes, yes.
absolutely.
Oh, so beautiful.
Well, Elizabeth, I thank you so much for coming on and just really, you did that. This was such an
Thank you.
awesome way to end this season. I am so thankful and grateful for you. So guys, connect with
Thank
her. I
you.
always leave the details of our guests in the show notes. So please make sure you connect with her. Thank you so much again for your time. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Afro Qi podcast. Be sure to visit our website at afroqi.com and on all social media platforms at the Afro Qi. Subscribe to this podcast now so you never miss a show.